Good morning, PASW staff, clients, and friends joining us for a Tuesday class. Thanks for tuning in. We looked at your film scoring assignment, the great classic From Here to Eternity, and get that into me by today. By the end of today is fine, and we'll see the results for Friday. So, okay, this is a meaty class, but we're going to make this as easy as possible. Trust me, we'll get through this and we'll learn together. Okay, so if we started with Bach, and we looked at him a few weeks ago, the father of Baroque music, the father of, Western music. What's going on before Bach? Because Bach was a long time ago, 17th century or so. And I know that you were probably thinking about this all weekend. What kind of music was before then? If his music sounds modern but old, what was happening before then? So we're going to look at a composer that was about 100 years before Bach, and most importantly, his music is still pretty good. So we're going to look at his life and why is it still good, and a whole movement that changed the world called the Renaissance. So we're gonna have fun. Just go on this journey with me, and we're gonna have fun. We're gonna look at the great composer, Renaissance composer, Claudio Monteverdi. From a simplistic level, from what he's most kind of famous for is kind of creating the first opera. That's not really true. People did it before, but he did it almost the best. So the first opera, wow, right? That long ago. So like I said, about 100 years before Bach, born in Cremona, Italy, in 1567. So, let's go over there. Let's go over to where he's born in Italy. Let's leave the little sexy beach cove in Hawaii and go over to where Monteverdi's born. And as we know, the Renaissance starts in Italy, right? In Florence. Renaissance means rebirth. Every day, so when you hear that Renaissance man, it's a man that can do all these different things, play guitar and paint and all these things. Okay, so Renaissance starts about 14th century. So like 1300s to 1600s, long time ago. Before Renaissance is like the Middle Ages, right? Basically people working and the church controlling everything. With the Renaissance, you get humanism. What's humanism? It's, when you think of, modern thought, real thought and individual thought, most importantly. Humanism is that people are still going to be believe in the church and believe in religion and everything, but they're also gonna have their own individual feelings and emotions that are going to be recognized. That's probably what's most important about the Renaissance. Before, it was just kind of like a mass of just everybody follows this one thing. With Renaissance, it's like, we're going to follow this one thing probably because we have no choice, but also we're going to be introduced to certain artists like Michelangelo and people that, everybody knows, Da Vinci. They're going to say, well, we can have our individual expression through art, through music. It's such an exciting time. And this starts in Florence with the Medicis. And Monteverdi's kind of in the late Renaissance. So he's really important for bridging the gap between late Renaissance to Baroque. So how does he do that? So and here's the timeline. You can see that. He's way before. Why are we even still talking about somebody that? We still talk about Shakespeare, but this is early music, and some of it sounds very modern and very good, actually. He wrote a lot of madrigals. Madrigals are secular songs. So I guess you could say anything on the radio mostly, or I mean the radio, yeah, are madrigals today, unless you're listening to Christian rock or church music. Madrigals are secular, meaning non-religious, right? Music. It's like a so what thing today. I mean, but back then, doing secular music was pretty risky because the church rules the whole world, everything. I don't think he was, and he was a religious person. He was an ordained priest at the end of his life. Like at 65, he becomes a priest. So he wasn't anti-church, but he developed something. He was one of the first at really taking poems, poetry, setting them to music and getting an emotional core going. Whereas, and what I mean by that, whereas before you'd have music and Gregorian chants and beautiful, music that we fall asleep to or relax to, that were kind of just pieces. He's going to take these pieces and really do a good job of putting a story together. And that's why his opera Orfeo is still performed today. Imagine that an opera 500 years or so later is still being performed today because he's really understanding the emotional core of lyrics and music together. I mean, amazing. We still do this today. He's one of the first to do that. So it's like the Middle Ages, you just have people kind of singing, playing lutes, playing guitars, singing, nice little songs. He's gonna take these things and create something theatrical, something with emotion, with lyrics, with a story. Pretty much what we're doing today with movies. I mean, and with operas. And what he's doing is incorporating a lot of polyphony. Now, this is easy stuff, so I mean, don't think that I'm just throwing fancy words out. Monophony, not monopoly. Monophony, mono meaning one, right, is just one line. So the Gregorian chants, the very nice church music, those are just one line going on. Polyphony is two or more lines going on. He's going to be doing that. He's not the first one to do it, but he's one of the first to do it in a way that's better than other people were doing it. He's using polyphony, and he's also using bass, which is a bass line, which we know that Bach was very good at creating the left-hand bass, outlining the harmonies. But he's going to be doing polyphony, so two or three more. He's creating, I mean, these are how songs are structured. He's creating two or more voices and then a bass line.
Zefiro, Zefiro, Zefiro torna. Zefiro, Zefiro, Zefiro torna. Zefiro, Zefiro, Zefiro torna. Torna, Zefiro, torna, 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 Zefiro, Zefiro.
So he was very famous during his lifetime. He was very busy. He lived a long time. I mean, he dies at 76. And which is a long time for back then, especially since everything was going on, plagues and all that stuff. And and then with Orfeo, that was performed for the first time in 1607. That's still performed now. That really established him as a composer of a large scale of music, rather than just these little pieces of music. So he's kind of organizing this in a way that's really that, like I said, that we do today. I mean, really kind of amazing. One of the first to do this. to say, okay, here's musical pieces, here's poetry, let's put them together to make something dramatic and emotional. And because of humanism and the Renaissance, we can do that. Now, it's so weird because he kind of came up with something called the second practice. This shows you like some of these archaic rules. And the second practice was like, first practice is, okay, you don't break any rules. But I'm going to come up with the second practice where I can break the rules in order to express poetic meaning. It's kind of funny. It's almost like I'm going to sin and then I'm going to ask for forgiveness or something like that. So this second practice, meaning that yes, God could be what we write for, but also God could be poetic and emotional and individual. That was a whole new concept, and I think it did upset some people. But he did. I think his music was so good. It's so beautiful that it was hard to deny that this was music that shouldn't be written. This was music that had to be written almost. So that's a taste of Monteverdi. Monteverdi. Now we know a guy that was way before Bach, was writing these great, beautiful pieces, and the father of opera. I don't particularly love opera, but I see the importance of it because with opera you have movies almost, right? I mean, these guys are, Shakespeare's creating stories and plays and things. But with opera and stage and the theater, that's why we have movies. And I guess I'm just trying to make a current connection. Whereas what do we do on a Saturday, Saturday night? We watch something usually that has a story, that has dramatic purpose, that has something that makes us laugh or think or feel or cry. So this kind of formula has been going on for hundreds of years, and Monteverdi was one of the first to do that with music. Told you this would be fun, right? This is really fun. So that's Monteverdi, genius guy, was very famous in his life and then forgotten for a few hundred years, and then reestablished as like a lot of his work was destroyed. And he wrote like 12 other operas and a lot of music. A lot of it was destroyed, but then a lot of it is still being performed today. So we're going to go to a madrigal opera concert at some point after COVID. Probably we will. Okay. Tomorrow's going to be something completely different, and hope that it's going to be fun for us. Love you and miss you, and thanks for watching. So I'll see you tomorrow.